Hello and welcome to this digital camera magazine video tutorial. Today we're going to show you how to make a multiple exposure photograph in Photoshop Elements 5. Basically what we've done is to set our camera up on a tripod, and we've just got Steve here in the foreground just to run around the scene playing hide and seek. What we're going to do is create an image stack, and then we're going to delete various parts of that image so that we can basically create our multiple exposure shot. Okay, so the first thing to do is to create a new document. So what we'll do is we go Control A, which will select the whole of this image. We'll see the running ants going all the way around the outside. Go Control C, and now if we go Control N, it'll automatically put in the dimensions of our picture. So if we just call this Steve, click OK, and we now have our new document. Now the next stage is just to move or copy all of these images into the new document and create ourselves an image stack. So what we'll do is we go to the very last image in the selection, just drag and drop that directly into our screen, and it should automatically align so that it's dead center. And all we do is we do that for all of the other images, and you can see the layers for that untitled document very quickly build up. Okay, with our images now all in that new document, we can go over to the layers palette and we can see all of those images are now in that image stack. And if we just click through, we're just going to remove any of those pictures where we have Steve overlapping twice. So here we can see we've got Steve just jumping out of the tree, and the image before he's just behind, and if we just take a look we can see how that overlaps. So we'll just take one of those and get rid of that image there, and you've just got to make sure that you don't have any areas where Steve's actually overlapping or your subject itself is overlapping. We've got another two images there which are doing pretty much the same thing, so we want to get rid of those. Okay, with that done, we'll just switch on all of the visibility of all of those layers, and make sure you click on the very top layer, and what we're going to do is just reduce its opacity down to 40% so we can see the images below just shining through. Now, quite simply, making sure you've got that top layer selected, we're going to just select our erase tool, and to make sure we've got quite a nice soft edged brush, and we've got a size of 250, brush mode, and we're going to take its opacity up to 100%. Now quite simply all we do is we click onto the document, and with the eraser brush we just paint over the top of the area where Steve is, and that'll come straight through the image. After you've done that, turn the visibility of the layer to invisible, and you should see the layer below that suddenly appear. And again, making sure you've got the top layer selected, all you want to do is very quickly paint over the area where your subject, in this case Steve, is shining through. And all you need to do then is just quickly flick through each of those layers and do exactly the same thing. Okay, once you finish that, turn the visibility of all of the layers back on, and basically the second layer down will actually cover over all of the layers below that. So what we need to do is just remove all of the background information from that layer. So click once on the layer to select it, and then go over to your tool palette and select the elliptical marquee tool. And all we're going to do here is very quickly just draw a rough ellipse over the area with our subject in, and then go Control Shift I, and that'll just invert our selection. Then just hit delete. I can remove all of the information around Steve, and you'll suddenly see the layer below that layer appear, and so we can see Steve's just appeared here on the left hand side. Now again, just click once to deselect for your elliptical marquee, reselect that area, go back over to your layers palette, select the next layer down, go Control Shift I just to invert that selection, and hit delete again, and your next layer will appear. Again, select the next layer down with the elliptical marquee tool, just draw around your subject, Control Shift I again, delete, and we see the next layer coming through just here. Basically now what you have to do is just to continue doing this for each of those layers until you have all of the Steves appearing across the screen. Okay, when you get to the final layer, you can just leave that exactly as it is. You can see Steve just peering out behind the tree there. Just go Control D just to deselect, and now we need to go back up to our very top layer, click once, and we need to increase the opacity back up to 100%. Once we've done this, we can now see we've got all of our different Steves all over our scene here, and we just need to flatten this image down. So click back into your layers palette, click on the More icon, and go Flatten Image. And that'll flatten down all of those layers into one layer. And now we can apply a levels just to sort out a few of the midtones and just to lighten up some of this picture. So click onto the adjustment layers, select levels, and you'll see the familiar levels dialog window appear. And all we want to do is just to drag that slider over to the left hand side slightly, and we're just lightening up a few of those midtones. Click OK, and then we can go Control E, which will just flatten that levels adjustment layer down onto the background layer. And there we have our multiple exposure image.